Hi, how are you? Today I am going to be sharing my experience with free weight loss diet. At the end of this video, I am also going to be sharing factors that you need to consider before making that choice as to what weight loss diet will be sustainable, effective, and suitable to you. Because what worked for me might not work for you. Alright, here's the backstory. In 2016, 2017, I had just become separated and my father passed on. So it was a difficult year for me. And what I did was that I began to binge eat and somehow found comfort in food. So needless to say, I became overweight. And I consider myself a very active person. I'm that lady you will find on the football pitch. So those things, I couldn't do them anymore, and I couldn't also play with my children. And when I did play, I experienced shortness of breath. So that was a wake-up call for me. I decided that I was going to lose the weight. So I decided to go on keto diet. Now, in case you don't know what keto diet is that kind of diet that places your body in a state of ketosis. So your body and your brain is filled by energy gotten from fats, unsaturated fats and protein, rather than from sugar. So your liver basically processes this fat to produce energy molecules called ketones. And that is why it is called keto diet. Okay, if that makes sense to you. All right, so with keto diet, you're not eating carbohydrates. You're not eating some vegetables with high calories. So you're basically eating protein and unsaturated fat. Okay, so I did that for 5 months, and yes, I did lose the weight. Another benefit I noticed was that my skin began to glow, and I also looked way younger. I mean, you could take out 10 years from my age and I would easily pass for it. Okay, now that lasted for like 5 months. After a while, I began to eat my normal food. And what happened, as soon as I started eating carbohydrates, as soon as I went back to normalcy, I gained the weight back. So I gained so much weight that there wasn't no difference between when I started keto and when I gained the weight. Alright, so for this reason, I would not consider keto diet sustainable. And I've also seen a lot of people who experience the same thing. They do keto diet and after a while, they put on the weight. Now, what happens, I believe, judging from what happened to me, is that as soon as you begin to eat your normal food, the tendency to overeat is just high, because this is a particular kind of food that you have deprived yourself of. So by the time you start, you feel like you just overeat it. And there's also this false power that keto diet gives you, or do I say false stability that you get from the weight loss. You feel like you're now at a very good weight, so whatever you eat, you won't blow up, and suddenly you get the shocker of your life. You eat and then you become so big. So I do not consider keto diet sustainable for that reason. So I had gained the weight and there was a need for me to lose the weight again. So I decided to do intermittent fasting. Now with intermittent fasting, you're rotating between fasting period and feeding period, and there are many ways to do intermittent fasting. So there is the 16-8, so you're fasting for 16 hours and you're feeding within a window of 8 hours. There is also the 5-2, so you're feeding within 5 days and fasting for like 2 days. There is also the alternate day intermittent fasting, so you're eating and fasting every other day. And there is also the type where you skip meal, and that is what I did. So what I discovered with intermittent fasting is that when you are not fasting, you're putting on the weight, and when you fast, you lose the weight. So I consider intermittent fasting very fluctuative diet. Is something that is good for the short term. So if for instance you have a bash or you have a wedding to attend and you need to fit into that dress or that suit, then intermittent fasting might do the magic. Now with intermittent fasting, there's also a thin line between fasting and starving. And what I noticed is that I begin to feel like I'm starving, and when you feel like you're starving, you know what it does to you? It stresses you out, makes you feel agitated, and sometimes I just called up counting hours so that you'll be able to eat your food. So I don't think that is something one can do for a very long time, okay, except you've otherwise come up with a strategy that works for you. All right, so with intermittent fasting, you're basically having increase in your growth hormone and having a reduction in your insulin. All right, so because I find intermittent fasting stressful and I wanted something for the long term, I wanted something sustainable, something I can do and just live by it in peace and have my good weight, my normal weight, and then be of that weight for a very long time. And I suppose it's the same wish for everybody. So I did low carb diet for a while, I would say for like 6 months, and then I added my own tweak to low carb diet. So low carb diet simply means that you are having a meal that does not contain more than 25% net weight of carbohydrates. All right, so I did low carb diet for like a while, but I just couldn't keep up with counting calories. I couldn't keep up with checking for how much carbohydrate I'm having. So I decided after a while that I was going to just do portion control. So I'm going to have a little amount of carbohydrates. And there is also a research that was carried out for over 30 years. It was a cohort study where people were monitored for that period of time, and it was noticed that people who had low carb diet and those who had high carb diet had their life expectancy reduced by 4 years. So those who had moderate carbohydrate or moderate calorie food had a 4-year life expectancy advantage over those who had either low or high. And this is a fact because a meta-analysis of other studies around the world was done and it was the same result. So you want to check for the science behind any diet you want to do before you go ahead to embark on it. So with any of these diets, one factor is also very important, and that is nutrition. So you could be on any of this diet and still be eating in a way that would not help you lose weight. Say for instance you're on low carb diet, you are having low carbohydrates, but you're stacking your plate with meat, with red meat, you are not going to lose the weight. Even if you're doing keto diet, you want to make sure that your fat and protein comes from plant products rather than from animal products. And if you are also on intermittent fasting, you want to be eating healthy. You don't want to eat a big bowl of rice. Say, you know what, I'm going to fast for like 16 hours. I can as well load my tummy with a lot of food just because you're going to fast. So each of these diets requires a level of monitoring, requires a level of control to be able to attain that weight loss. So I would easily say now that I do low carb diets, however, with a tweak. And that tweak is the fact that I now do portion size, and that has helped me for a while. So I do portion control and I also complement it with physical activity. With either of this diet, you would also need some level of physical activity. If you need to get rid of cellulite, if you need to tighten your muscle, if you need to sweat those calories out, you would definitely need some level of exercise, whether mild, moderate, or intense exercise. Okay, so I just do portion control and then I complement it with exercise. And I have been losing that weight slowly but consistently. And I will tell you the honest truth, my recommendation would be portion control. If you practice portion control or you eat by portion, and you might be asking me, what's the portion size for red meat? Something as tiny as this. What's the portion size for rice? Like this, very small. So you want to have little rice and a lot of veggies and a lot of fruits. Okay, so I would advise that you eat healthy despite, regardless of the diets that you choose to undertake. Now, what worked for me might not work for you, and that is why I have come up with factors that you need to consider to help you make that decision. Now, I have acronymed it LAPS, LAPS. Okay, so L for lifestyle. If you are the type that does a job that is quite rigorous, a job that is physically taxing or mentally taxing, you want a diet that would keep you going. Because if you choose a diet that would not give you enough energy to do your job or to do those activities, definitely you'll crash halfway. So you're looking at your lifestyle first. Now, if you're not physically active, keto diets might be of help to you. But like I said earlier, you would also need some level of exercise to tighten those muscles and get rid of cellulite. All right, now the next factor you need to consider is A, which is adaptation and accessibility. You need to be honest with yourself, okay? Now, if you know that you cannot deprive yourself of some meal, then you're looking at portion control, like me. I know haven't done keto. I will not do keto again. I will not deprive myself of any food. I am going to have everything. And by the way, your body needs all the classes of food. Your body needs all the nutrients. So if you are depriving yourself of whatever class of food, you must find a way to complement it, because you don't want to, you know, distort your body. You don't want to cause problem for you whilst trying to get rid of one problem. Okay, now you also want to consider accessibility to the food. There are many other diets I did not mention here. One of them is Atkins diet, Mediterranean diet, and all that. Now imagine you're doing Mediterranean diet and you have limited access to seafood. You see, halfway you'll be done with it, and it's not a diet that would work for you. It will crash halfway. Now the next factor you need to consider is your physical health. So for instance, if you're classed within the morbidly obese BMI, then you want something drastic. And if you have underlying health conditions, say for instance your risk to cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes is very high, then you're choosing a diet that helps you reduce your risks. Now the last factor is sustainability. So you've considered your lifestyle, you've considered your adaptability and accessibility, you've also considered your physical health. So that would help you decide, honestly decide, on what diets you should be able to sustain. I mean, you've got to be honest with yourself so that you can appreciate the diets that you are going to embark on, and that you will be able to sustain it for a very long time. Now, what I want you to take out from this video is the fact that for an effective weight loss that would last a very long time, then you want to complement portion control with physical activity. Now, this is a research-based fact that these two will help you lose weight for a very long time. So you're looking at making that lifestyle choice to be physically active, and this is where I draw the curtain today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to this channel. Share this video with your friends and they will be grateful for it. It's all love from me to you. Do have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. Yeah, before I go, check out my fitness videos. I have a couple of them that would be of benefits to you. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.